Good afternoon to you. Mark Stott with HurricaneTrack.com here. Saturday, August 26, 2023. Important update today. We have a lot going on out there. We are tracking Franklin, now a hurricane, and it is forecast to become a major hurricane. I thought that it would do so. I talked about that a couple of days ago and even yesterday, and lo and behold, that is in the official forecast. It's going to produce swells that are going to reach the shorelines of a lot of areas, and that could be a real big problem next week. We'll talk about that. And then, of course, 93L in the Northwest Caribbean Sea, well on its way to becoming a tropical cyclone, a depression, and it's got its target, if you will, on Florida. Exactly where, we don't know. A lot of things happening very quickly now, and I think the warm water temperatures, the computer models struggling, there's a lot of inconsistency out there. Yes, things are pretty hectic, and we have to try to make some sense of it. But we also have to remain calm and focus on preparing for impacts instead of getting swept up in what are the computer models saying? What category is it going to be? That's not the way to think. You need to be thinking, hey, something could be coming my way. How could it affect me? So we're going to talk about that and other stuff today. First of all, National Hurricane Center homepage. Here is Franklin. It is a Category 1 hurricane. Telling you what, over the days ahead, that ACE score, the accumulated cyclone energy, some people do not care about it at all. Some people think it's a big part of the overall metric. I do. I think it's an important indicator. Regardless, the ACE score really going to go up. Why? Because Franklin's forecast to be a major hurricane, if not sooner than what we're indicating here by Monday morning, and it will generate these swells that will propagate out all around the Atlantic basin, affecting Atlantic Canada, eventually the east coast of the U.S. Not every beach will see the swells, but you just need to be very careful if you're heading down to the beach starting Monday. Look at your local weather service forecast, weather.gov, and look and see if there's anything in red, a beach hazard statement or anything like that. And if once you're at the beach, look for lifeguard information. And if it says beach closed because of high rip currents, don't go in the water. Going to be great for surfers, not so good for people that aren't adept to dealing with it. So that's Franklin. What else do we have? Well, 93L in the Northwest Caribbean. Really going to be interesting to see the 2 p.m. tropical weather outlook. They may start with something like advisories could be initiated later today, something to that effect. You see the area here on the 2-day outlook. If we expand it to the 7-day, of course, that's what it looks like. Somewhere along the Florida coast, there will be impacts, and it is going to be at least a tropical storm. I can almost guarantee it. You never say anything's for sure in weather until it's actually happening, but this has all the earmarks of something rather potent overall. Look at what's happening out there. All the convection pretty much everywhere. There's Franklin really wrapping up. It's got a huge envelope to work with. This is going to be a powerful hurricane over the Atlantic, and as it moves between Bermuda and North Carolina, again, those swells are going to come out, and I mean it is going to really kick up the surf down here. In addition to that, we are approaching a full moon on the 30th, I believe it is. That will give us astronomically high tides, those big waves on top of that, the swell. That'll create a wave run-up. We might have some overwash in some of the areas that are typical prone spots to such things, like the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Maybe Charleston Harbor could have some flooding. Pay attention to that as well. Impacts are the key, not category. Category is important, but in my mind, and I think emergency managers, it's the impacts. That's what they prepare for. At least they should. And yes, Franklin will be bringing impacts, even if it remains hundreds of miles offshore. But the other area of growing concern, and it really is of a growing concern here, 93L coming together faster than any of us thought that it would. You know, the GFS missed the start of it, so to speak. The Euro was out ahead, but both models underestimating the organization already off the coast of the Yucatan, there in the Yucatan Channel. The longer this stays over water, has time to really get its act together before the atmosphere starts to kick it out, the stronger it could get. And here's a close-up of it, this satellite loop, courtesy, of course, Tropical Tidbits. Don't be too fooled by this mass of storms over here near Cuba. The center of circulation appears to be forming somewhere over here still, so there's not a direct threat that this just turns quickly towards southwest Florida. I don't see that that could happen. I just want to put that at rest right now. Not impossible, but I don't see that happening. I think it's an optical illusion that we're seeing on different cloud shots that makes it look like it might be trying to propagate in this direction. They don't really do that, and the big reason why is, well, huge area of high pressure sitting out here over the Atlantic. Maybe not exactly like I drew it, but these things just don't turn. They don't have a mind of their own. People say that. They don't, because they're not living beings. They are a product of heat and other forces in the atmosphere, the fluid atmosphere. So I saw a few people kind of concerned about that. What I'm more concerned with is the rapid organization here, and it's not just dancing around over here over the Yucatan like this. It's going to be very close to that very warm water, and Recon's going to have to get out here sooner rather than later. I believe it is tasked for tomorrow. I don't know how all of that procedure stuff works. I know a little bit about it. Can they scramble something out there today? I don't know. But satellite imagery certainly suggests this is well on its way, as does the low-level vorticity. And here again is another, just to help you breathe a sigh of relief in southwest Florida, the vorticity signature down at the close to the surface, 5,000 feet, 850 millibars. The center of that would be roughly in here somewhere. If you had to peg it, no, it's not up here. This is really helpful. This sees through the clouds, if you will, and we can see where that concentrated vorticity is, and it is not, I emphasize, over here. So no, it is not going to make a beeline for southwest Florida. I don't see that happening. That would be really, really unprecedented to just see it. I wouldn't even be able to get there in time. Let's just put it that way. This is 850 millibars, just to show you how it is aligning. This is 500 millibars. So if this is 5,000 feet, this is roughly 20,000 feet, something like that. And yes, it is starting to take up room in the atmosphere and stack itself in the vertical, a very strong indication that it is trying to organize. The upper levels, I know this is a little confusing. Let's use blue. The red's probably good enough to outline things. First of all, there's the outflow with Franklin right there. See that that clockwise, say it right, Mark, the clockwise flow aloft, and then the hurricane beneath is counterclockwise, but that flow in the upper atmosphere throws the air outwards in a clockwise fashion. Same thing is developing over 93L, a very large anticyclone, and our 93L is right underneath that, perfectly aligned. And then out here, you can't see it too well, but there's an upper level low sitting out here, somewhere in the vicinity west of Franklin, and that's going to help ventilate both systems. So the faster Franklin clears the pattern, the more that this will take advantage of that upper level low that will develop out here. It'll act like a mass sink to draw that air out of 93L and into the upper level low. We typically see that in intense hurricanes. To the right of them, even typhoons, we can often see this. There's an upper level low helping to, it's almost like a black hole. I mean, not really. I'm just saying, you see the visualizations of a black hole where it's literally digesting matter from a star. It seems like this is a very similar type process, at least visually, not mechanically, not at all. I don't need any astrophysicist coming at me, hey man, you got it all wrong. But it looks very similar visually, that these upper level lows help to pull out that upper outflow, and it just makes the engine of the cyclone, the tropical cyclone, work much more efficient. So this upper pattern, again, we talked about this the last couple of days. Let's look at the pattern. Does the pattern suggest a hurricane? Yes, it does. This is the upper pattern. What about the ocean temperatures? Well, you know where I'm going with this. Everything north of there is at least 30 degrees Celsius, mid to upper 80s, and it's some of the warmest water we have ever seen up here. And that just should speak for itself, all right? We don't have a name storm yet. Don't want to get too far ahead of myself or speculate, but absolutely folks here in Florida need to be watching this very closely. Tampa Bay all the way over to the Panhandle. I don't know exactly where this is going to end up. Southwest Florida, just watch it, of course. You don't need me to tell you that. Of course you're going to be watching it. But this has all the ingredients, it seems, for something to get together down there that could be pretty strong and bring some rather unpleasant impacts to the Sunshine State, and then eventually just kind of backing out the shot here. This isn't over, of course, when it comes into land. Let's just say it comes in somewhere in here, the southeast and the southeast coast up here. We're going to have to deal with this as well. So not just a Florida problem coming up. Now look, I almost was not going to show any of the model stuff, but I do want to real quick regarding Franklin. So let's cover Franklin first, and then I'm going to show you a couple things related to 93L, and then we're going to get this online, and I got a lot of stuff to do. So look at Franklin. It goes around that big old Bermuda High sitting out here, or not Bermuda High in this case, more like the Bermuda Azores High. Let's just call it the subtropical ridge, the subtropical high as a general definition. But there's Franklin, very well defined in the low-level vorticity field, and it goes around that high, kind of close to Bermuda there, you know, yeah. And then it gets on out into the North Atlantic safely away from Atlantic Canada. But boy, just look at the black bullseye with that, if you will, and scroll this through. Look at how many days. 3 days, 4 days, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 days. This is going to be generating a lot of ace points for the next 7 days at least. Now, look down at what we have with 93L. All right, let's get rid of the telestration. We'll zoom in a little bit over here. There's 93L. Already, in my opinion, just from the limited, like I haven't looked at this for hours at a time because I hadn't had a lot of time because it's been happening very quickly. But it appears to me that even the GFS here is behind on the vorticity signature. In other words, the initialization is still behind. You know, we looked at the vorticity signature just a little bit ago, and I think this is still underrepresented. That being the case, let's see what it does. Okay, so this goes out 12, there's 24, 36, 48 hours, still milling around down there near the Yucatan, and it's got multiple blobs of vorticity. I think this is incorrect. That's my assumption, because it is already starting to consolidate now. I don't think we're going to have these two different concentrated areas. We're already seeing it come together now, and we can see that right there. That's it, right there. Let me just circle it. It's already together. There's not two of them down there. I don't think it's going to fracture like that. So the GFS might be having some problems there. Nevertheless, it does finally consolidate, but I think it's going to consolidate sooner. That makes sense. And then unfortunately it comes up there very close to Panama City Beach area, at least on the GFS here, Wednesday morning, and we shall see. You know, this may not even be worth looking at because so much has changed already. Because this was initialized, the initial position here, the analysis was 8 a.m. Eastern Time, and the model didn't know, quote unquote, that it already looked like that, and that it looked like that. I just don't think it did. I think the input was already flawed, so to speak. Hey, what else is the GFS doing? Look at that. Another system's coming in. We got to watch this for Central America, maybe. See that piece coming there? This tropical wave is trying to tilt its way upwards, so to speak, and amplify in the Caribbean. And then I'm going to say one more thing. Let's just assume that a week out, this is correct. And let's go look at the lower levels, at the wind and so forth, and see what we got there. Maybe another hurricane. Maybe. Let's just assume this is right. That's not an El Nino look. The El Nino right now has some impacts, but it's not helping. So all the people that were like, oh, the El Nino is creating this and creating that, and there's upper level lows everywhere, and seriously, like you have to look at things just days at a time, like 1, 2, 3 days at a time right now. Not even 2 weeks out is helpful, because we are in a situation where everything is different. It is. We have the strong El Nino, we do, but we have record warm temperatures in the Atlantic, everywhere, the whole Atlantic basin. So stuff is truly in chaos, all right? It's not hyperbolic. It is. Look at what's happening. I said it the other day, tropical shenanigans. That's sort of a lighthearted way to put it. We have to be watching this stuff very carefully because we're not getting the benefit of, oh, look, something's brewing a week out in so-and-so model. BS. We're not even able to see stuff 2 days out right now. It's happening too fast. So I'm going to be preparing to hit the road and leaving tomorrow for Florida. We are supported on Patreon. That is how we fund most of what we do. But beyond, and I think even more important than that, is the community aspect of it. It is an amazing community, over 600 strong right now, and you can become a part of it, not just to sell you something. Yes, this is my job. Of course it is. Most of you probably know that. If you didn't, now you do. Every single thing that we do is crowdfunded. All the GoPros, all the live cams, the vehicle that I will be driving, the gas tank money, the hotel rooms, it's all provided by our patrons, our friends of the project. Because of the support they give, we are able to develop things that help them. You understand? It's the Jerry Maguire principle. Help me, help you. Just like he said to Rod Tidwell. So do that, and you get access to the goods that you fund directly. You are investors. They say that. I like this podcast called Marketplace with Kai Risdahl. If you know Kai, tell him I said hello. And they do. They say that, look, you are investors in that program. And it's a nonprofit. We are not. But it's very similar to that. It's like a co-op. So patreon.com/HurricaneTrack if you'd like to be a part of it. And then you get on the inside, so to speak, and we all work together. And I'm just the face of it with a wonderful back-end team. I hate having to pitch this stuff. That's the worst part of this job. Begging for money, as people say. Such a horrible way to put it. But it works. Look at what we are able to do. I just went out to California, then I went to Texas, getting ready for Florida. We have more equipment than we've ever had before, and that's because I begged for money. Hey, I'll do it anytime if it makes it work, and it does. So what's the plan? All right, now that the sales pitch is out of the way, and again, that's the worst part of this job, the best part is producing results, and we're getting ready to do that. We're going to go to Florida. We're going to be working directly with some of our friends down there, friends of the project. We're going to set up equipment. I don't know where yet exactly, but wherever needed. More live cams than ever before. We have a whole new fleet of GoPro cams that are going to record in 4K. We have weather stations that are going to give us barometric pressure and wind readings. And, of course, we do work with Fox Weather, so it's all going to be on Fox Weather as well. As much as they can show it, it's not the Mark Sudduth channel. We do have our own YouTube for that, which is where most of you are watching this. And yes, we will be streaming live on YouTube as all of this unfolds. All right? So my job is to inform you and then show you exactly what the impacts are using technology that is 100% funded by people just like you. And if that's not remarkable, there's no other way. I don't know what else to tell you. So let me get this done and online for you, then I'm going to get ready and get out of here. I will be streaming live tomorrow afternoon as I drive to Florida, so be sure to tune in. If you are subscribed on my YouTube channel, seriously, hit that notification button or bell or whatever it is just to know when I'm live, because we will be talking about it live. You'll be able to literally interact and so forth and hear what's happening as I travel tomorrow, and then we will take things from there. All right? All right, that's it from me for today. As always, again, thanks for tuning in. I'm Mark Sudduth. For all of us at Hurricane Track, I'll see you tomorrow as I'm on the road headed to the Sunshine State.